There are two words that the Archons cannot overcome. Two words that break their attachments instantly. Two words that Jesus taught his inner circle as the simplest, most powerful declaration of spiritual authority ever given to humanity. Not a prayer, not a petition, not a request for divine intervention, a declaration, a statement of ontological fact, a reality claim so absolute that when spoken with understanding and conviction, it shatters every archonic hook, severs every energetic cord, and establishes a frequency the parasitic entities literally cannot approach. These two words appear throughout the teachings of Jesus, but their true power has been hidden, diluted, turned into religious platitude instead of spiritual weapon. The Church teaches you to say them as a prayer. Jesus taught his chosen ones to say them as a sovereign command that restructures reality itself. Tonight, I will reveal the two words. I will explain why they work. I will show you how to speak them with the authority that activates their power. And I will tell you exactly when and how to use them to escape every archonic trap, anxiety attacks, depression spirals, thought intrusions, energy drainage, spiritual oppression, and even the reincarnation cycle at death. The Archons have built elaborate systems to control humanity, but they have no defense against a soul who knows and uses these two words correctly. Because these two words are not just sounds. They are a frequency, a claim, a remembering of who you actually are. And once you speak them from that place of knowing, the entire archonic farm loses its grip on you.
The two words are I am. Before you dismiss this as too simple, before you think, I already knew that, understand, you do not know this yet. Not the way Jesus taught it, not the way that gives it power. The institutional church has turned I am into an acknowledgement of God's identity. I am is the name of God. True, but incomplete. Jesus taught that I am is not just God's name, it is your name. Your true identity, your deepest nature, your ontological reality. When you say, I am, with full consciousness of what you're claiming, you are not invoking an external God. You are remembering that you are the divine presence. You are declaring your unity with Source. You are claiming your identity as a fragment of the infinite consciousness that created all things. And this claim, this remembering, is what the Archons cannot overcome. They can attack a victim. They can attach to someone who believes themselves powerless, separate, small, human, sinful, broken. But they cannot attach to a soul who knows I am. Not I am a sinner saved by grace. Not I am a human seeking God. Not I am trying to be spiritual, but simply I am. I exist. I am presence. I am consciousness. I am the divine reality aware of itself in this moment. I am not separate from God. I am an expression of God experiencing itself through this temporary form. This is what Jesus meant when he said, I and the Father are one. Not that he alone was divine, but that he remembered his divine identity, and he came to wake you up to yours.
Why I am is God's name. In Exodus 3:14, when Moses asks God what his name is, God responds, I am who I am. Say this to the people of Israel, I am has sent me to you. This is not a riddle. This is a teaching about the nature of divine consciousness. God is not a being with a personal name like Bob or Steve. God is being itself, existence itself, consciousness itself, the eternal present moment aware of itself. I am means pure existence, pure presence, pure awareness, unconditioned by any story, any form, any limitation. And here is the secret the church doesn't teach. This I am consciousness is not separate from you. You are not outside looking at God. You are God looking through these eyes, experiencing itself through this temporary vehicle called a body and personality. When you say I am consciously, you are not taking God's name in vain. You're remembering God's name as your own deepest identity. Jesus understood this completely. This is why he made statements that scandalized the religious authorities. Before Abraham was, I am. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the light of the world. I am the resurrection and the life. The religious leaders tried to stone him for these statements because they thought he was claiming to be God in an egoic, blasphemous way. But Jesus was doing something far more radical. He was demonstrating what it looks like when a human being fully remembers their divine identity. He wasn't saying, I, this person Jesus, am special and you are not. He was saying, I have remembered what we all are, and I'm showing you the way to remember it too. And the key to that remembering is the conscious use of the words, I am. How the Archons use I am against you. Here's what the Archons know that most humans don't. Whatever you put after I am becomes your experienced reality. Every time you say I am, you are making a declaration of identity. And the universe, including your subconscious, your energy field, and the spiritual dimension, responds to that declaration as a command to create matching circumstances. The Archons have programmed you from birth to make false, limiting, low-frequency I am statements. I am worthless. I am broken. I am a sinner. I am anxious. I am depressed. I am powerless. I am alone. I am not enough. I am afraid. Every time you say one of these statements, you are using the most powerful creative force in existence, your divine I am presence, to manifest limitation, suffering, and low-frequency states that the Archons can harvest. You are literally commanding reality to reflect your declared identity. And when your declared identity is victim, broken, powerless, you become farmable. This is the Archonic programming. They cannot make you believe you are powerless, but they can condition you to declare yourself powerless using your own divine creative authority. And then they harvest the low-frequency energy that results. The moment you understand this, the moment you realize you have been weaponizing your own divine power against yourself, everything changes. Because you can reclaim it, you can redirect it, you can use I am the way Jesus taught, not to create limitation, but to claim your true nature. The power of pure I am. When you say I am, without adding anything after it, something profound happens. You step out of all false identities. You release all limiting stories. You drop all the conditioning, programming, and archonic attachments that have been hanging on the words you put after I am. Pure I am is existence without story, presence without identity, consciousness without limitation. And this state, pure being, pure presence, is a frequency the Archons cannot touch. They attach to your stories. They hook into your victim identity. They feed on the emotions generated by your limiting beliefs about who you are. But they cannot attach to pure I am because there is nothing there to grab onto. No victim, no story, no fear, no wound, no identity they can manipulate. Just presence, just existence, just divine consciousness aware of itself. This is why Jesus said, "Before Abraham was, I am." He was not claiming historical precedence. He was declaring his existence beyond time, beyond story, beyond all temporal identities. He was saying, I exist in the eternal now, prior to all stories, as pure divine presence. And you are the same. When you speak I am from this place of understanding, you are not a human asking God for help. You are divine consciousness remembering itself. You are the universe becoming aware of itself through this particular point of focus. And from this state, you have authority over every archonic force, every fear, every limitation. How to use I am as a spiritual weapon. Here is the practice Jesus taught his chosen ones. Morning declaration. When you wake up, before you check your phone, before you engage with the world, sit in silence and speak these words aloud. I am. Pause. Feel the truth of it. You exist. You are presence. You are consciousness. Then add, I am sovereign. I am free. I am protected by the Christ within me. I am ungovernable. I am untouchable by any force that is not of the highest light. These are not affirmations. These are declarations of ontological truth. You are not trying to become these things. You are remembering that you already are these things. In moments of archonic attack, when you feel anxiety, depression, intrusive thoughts, sudden exhaustion, spiritual oppression, this is archonic attack. The moment you recognize it, speak aloud, I am. Just those two words, with authority, with knowing. Then add, I am sovereign. This attack has no power over me. I do not consent to this frequency. I am protected by the Christ consciousness within me. All cords are cut. All hooks are removed. I am free. You will feel an immediate shift. The anxiety will drop. The oppression will lift. The thoughts will quiet. Why? Because you just claimed your divine identity, and the Archons literally cannot maintain attachment to a soul operating from that frequency. Before sleep. When your consciousness is most vulnerable to archonic intrusion through dreams and astral manipulation, speak, I am sovereign over my consciousness in all states, waking, sleeping, and dreaming. I am protected. Only love may approach me. I am sealed in the light of Christ. This creates a boundary that holds through the night. At death, this is the most critical use. At death, when the archonic deceivers appear and try to convince you to reincarnate, speak, I am a sovereign being. I am not bound by karma. I am not required to return. I am free to ascend to the pleroma. I am one with Christ. I do not consent to the reincarnation cycle. The system operates on consent. This declaration withdraws consent and claims your right to exit permanently. The authority behind the words. Here's what most people miss. The words themselves have no power if you speak them as a victim hoping they'll work. The power comes from the consciousness behind the words. When you speak "I am" as a desperate human begging for relief, you are still operating from victim consciousness. And victim consciousness is exactly what the Archons feed on. But when you speak "I am" as a divine being remembering its true nature, you are operating from creator consciousness, and creator consciousness is what the Archons fear. The difference is subtle but absolute. Victim: please, I hope this works. I am sovereign, I think. Maybe this will help. Creator: I am sovereign. This is truth. This is reality. I declare it so. The first is a wish. The second is a command. Jesus spoke with authority. The Gospels repeatedly say the people were amazed because he taught as one having authority, not as the scribes. The scribes quoted external authorities. Jesus spoke from his own divine knowing, and he taught his chosen ones to do the same. You are not petitioning God for sovereignty. You are claiming the sovereignty that is already yours. You are not asking permission to be free. You are declaring the freedom that is your birthright as a divine being. This shift in consciousness from asking to declaring is everything. What happens when you practice this? Let me tell you what will happen when you begin using "I am" correctly. Week 1. You will notice a shift in your internal state. Anxiety that used to spiral for hours will break in minutes. Negative thought loops will lose their grip. You will feel more solid, more present, more here. The Archons will test you. They will send stronger attacks to see if your sovereignty is real or just words. Every time they test, use the declaration again. Reset your frequency. Reclaim your authority. Week 2. Other people will notice something different about you. You will seem less available for drama, less reactive to triggers, less controllable through emotional manipulation. Some people, especially psychics and hylics who are unconsciously serving the Archonic system, will not like this change. They will try to pull you back into old patterns. Stand firm. Your sovereignty is not up for negotiation. Month 1. You will realize you are no longer being drained the same way. Interactions that used to leave you exhausted no longer affect you. Situations that used to trigger you into low-frequency states no longer hook you. You are becoming ungovernable. The farm is losing a food source, and the system will escalate its attempts to reclaim you. Month 3. You will notice synchronicities increasing, doors opening, opportunities appearing, spiritual experiences intensifying. This is because you are no longer leaking energy to the Archonic system. You are accumulating power, and that power attracts higher frequency experiences. Month 6. You will feel like a different person, not because you changed, but because you remembered. You claimed your divine identity, and you stopped cooperating with the programming that kept you small, fearful, and farmable. The Archons can still see you, but they can no longer feed on you effectively. You have become a problem for their operation. Year 1. You will look back and realize the last year was the most significant spiritual development of your entire life, not because you learned new information, but because you activated dormant power through 2 simple words spoken with understanding and authority. Why the Church doesn't teach this? The institutional Church cannot teach the sovereign use of "I am" because it would make the Church unnecessary. If you know you are divine consciousness expressing itself through temporary form, you don't need a priest to mediate your connection to God.
If you know you have authority to command reality through your declarations, you don't need to petition external powers. If you know you can free yourself from archonic oppression with 2 words, you don't need salvation programs, therapy, or endless seeking. You are free, immediately, completely. And free people don't build empires of control. So the church teaches you to be humble, which becomes self-diminishment, to be a servant, which becomes victimhood, to rely on external grace, which becomes powerlessness. Meanwhile, Jesus taught, "You are gods, you are children of the Most High," John 10:34, quoting Psalm 82:6. He taught that the kingdom of God is within you, that you have authority over demons, over sickness, over nature itself, if you believe and do not doubt. He taught that you can do the works He did, and even greater works, because He went to the Father, and you are one with the Father just as He is. But the church turned this radical empowerment into religion. They took the most powerful spiritual technology ever given, the conscious use of I am, and turned it into a theological doctrine you study, but never practice. Jesus didn't come to start a religion. He came to wake you up to your divine identity. And I am is the key to that awakening. The Archonic resistance you will face. When you start practicing this, the Archons will resist. Here's what they'll try. Doubt. This is too simple. It can't really work. You're just talking to yourself. Response. Trust your direct experience. If you feel better after declaring your sovereignty, it worked. You don't need external validation. Mockery. People will think you're crazy. You think you're God? That's blasphemy. That's New Age nonsense. Response. Let them think what they want. You're not here for their approval. You're here to be free. Escalation. The attacks will intensify temporarily as the Archons try to reclaim their food source. Response. Every attack is an opportunity to practice. Declare your sovereignty again. Reset. The escalation proves the technique is working. Forgetfulness. You'll forget to practice. Days will go by without using the declaration. Response. Set reminders. Make it non-negotiable. 2 minutes in the morning to claim your divine identity. The Archons cannot stop you from speaking these words. They cannot block this technique. All they can do is try to make you forget you have it. Don't forget.
Say them tonight. Before you sleep tonight, speak these words aloud. I am sovereign. I am free. I am protected by the Christ within me. I am ungovernable. I am untouchable by any force that is not of the highest light. I do not consent to archonic harvest. I do not consent to fear. I do not consent to limitation. I am a divine being, remembering my true nature. I am. Say them with authority. Say them knowing they are true. Say them as a declaration, not a wish. Then notice what happens. Notice how your energy shifts. Notice how the room feels different. Notice how your thoughts quiet. Notice how you feel more solid, more present, more real. That shift is not placebo. That shift is the actual effect of claiming your divine identity and resetting your frequency to a level the Archons cannot harvest. You just took back your power with 2 words. The Archons built a prison planet. They constructed elaborate control systems. They programmed humanity to stay small, fearful, and controllable. But they have no defense against a soul who remembers, I am. You are not a victim. You are not powerless. You are not separate from God. You are divine consciousness having a temporary human experience. And the moment you remember that, the moment you claim it with the words, I am, everything changes. The trop loses its power, the farm loses its source, the Archons lose control, and you become free. Say the words tonight, and every night, and every morning, and every time you feel attacked. I am. These are the two words Jesus taught. These are the two words that escape the trap. Use them.